And we are back. It's another episode of Good Vibes. I'm Martin Falls, along with Debbie Cox DeNova, and she is our transformation coach. Debbie, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
I love this topic today. Stopping self-sabotage, because I see people sometimes and they start a conversation and they keep digging the hole and digging the hole. And at the end of 10 minutes, I'm going, would somebody please give me some rope? I mean, some people just, they don't know when to stop.
Yeah, and I think that all of us can relate to some degree to feeling like we're sabotaging ourselves where some sort of desire or effort is being made, whether we're talking about relationships, like keeping a healthy relationship, and then finding yourself misbehaving in the relationship in a way that causes fights, or if you want a specific, you have a health goal and you're not eating appropriately, or there's an internal self-sabotage that happens. And I'd like to help it. Actually, let's do a play at home, because if you're at home, please grab a piece of paper and a pen. And I want you to actually identify in your life some area where you have a conscious desire to do something, but you feel like you're being held back by another part of yourself. And so we call that self-sabotage. But I want to help you to reframe this, because what occurs as self-sabotage from the conscious mind, from an unconscious aspect, can actually feel like self-love. Now, we've talked about before how we consider ourselves to be one person, right? You're Martin, I'm Debbie. You look in the mirror and it occurs as one. But the conscious mind does split off during lots of areas in our childhood especially, but even as adults. Sometimes it's trauma driven, sometimes we're adapting to certain environments, right? And we decide that this part of myself is not appropriate for me to survive in this specific community. And this aspect is actually going to get me approval and love the way I want, okay? And so sometimes there are what we call negative things in our shadow, right? The rebellious one or the lazy one. But then sometimes there are like sparkly, wonderful parts of ourselves, because maybe, like we said before, maybe in your community having too much joy was made fun of or something like that. So you kind of put that joyful part back here. So it's important to recognize that there are all these aspects that are still there. And if you are experiencing self-sabotage, it's probably that. It's definitely that. There's a part of yourself, it's at least one part of yourself, maybe several, that are operating in a different way underneath that believes that it's in your best interest. And so the work that we get to do, instead of saying, oh, why do I keep self-sabotaging? Okay. And this can actually be really harmful for the self-esteem. If you believe there's a part of yourself that just keeps sabotaging your efforts, that will lower your self-esteem. So I kind of want to help you to reframe today. Take a piece of paper and a pen, write down at least one area in your life in which you keep trying to go this way. You keep going another way, right? Let's identify what could be happening underneath the surface. Heidi Priebe uses this great analogy. I love it. Okay, so it's almost like you have this factory. There's a day shift and there's a night shift. The day shift, the lights are on and they have aims and goals and duties together as a team, and they do that, okay? Then after their shift at night, they turn off the lights and they leave, and the night shift comes in. Now, the night shift has a completely different set of aims and goals and tasks to get accomplished, and they don't have light. And so they're trying as much as they can, fumbling in the dark to get what they need to get done. By morning time, day shift comes back, and it looks as though there's coffee spilled on paperwork that's really important. It's just in disarray. So it's easy for the day shift to think, oh, the night shift is trying to sabotage what we're doing, right? But Heidi Priebe says, no, you can think of it like these are two parts of yourself. The conscious mind is the day shift, okay? Lights are on, I can see everything, I'm moving in this direction. But at night, in the subconscious mind, there's actually different aims. And so while you may be thinking, okay, I actually really want that job, because the conscious mind thinks, okay, if I get this job, I'll have a lot of money, a lot of approval from my community. Night shift might be no understanding. It'll also cost me a lot of time, energy, and I'm not really lit up about that job at all. I don't really care about I just want to have a good time in my life, right? And so night shift is moving in a completely different direction. And so the aim is not to fight against the night shift. The aim is to flip the lights on for them and actually get these two teams working together so that they're actually helping each other. It's kind of a coordinated effort. You're going in the same direction. And this requires that you understand that every part of yourself is actually, from its own perspective, trying to move you in a beneficial direction. It's just that some don't have as much light as the others.
As we go into the break, I interviewed Skip Bertman one time, who was a very successful baseball coach at LSU. won multiple national championships. Then he retired, and he became the athletic director. And I heard people say one time, well, there's no way he's going to hire a coach that's going to do as good as him because his ego won't allow it. But in the show, he addressed that. He said he wanted to hire a coach that would continue to win national championships because he was the one that hired him.
I love that.
So that reflects on his ability to be successful as an athletic director.
Yes.
So instead of sabotaging someone who might beat his record, which no one ever will, he decided, I want to bring in a coach that will have a national championship because I'm the one calling the shots.
That's beautiful. And so what you see in people who have a psychologically integrated approach to life is that smoothness of harmony. It's really easy to see when someone has a lot of shadow stuff because it's almost like a psychological uncoordinated walk, right? There's one part moving this way, that other part moving this way. There's no peace and balance in their beingness in the world. And so it's important to remember that other people have their own shadow stuff. So a lot of times when we're getting really reactive about the way someone's operating, it's that at play. And then, of course, to also take care of our own shadow stuff so that we don't accidentally sabotage someone else out of our own ego need.
I always said the best letters I ever get from owning a TV station, Shelley Brown, Lucy Bustamante, and all the Lonnie Thibodeau, all the other, said, you mentored me in the right direction and I became successful.
Yeah.
And I was an anchor too.
Yeah.
I wanted them to be a better anchor than me because it meant they were progressing.
I love that.
That's the way it works.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll come right back. Don't go away. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights. All right, we are back. Good vibes time. Martin Foss with Debbie Cox DeNova. We're talking about stopping self-sabotage. So if you're sabotaging someone else, yourself, or whatever, of course, this is about the self. But I guess when you're sabotaging someone else, you really could be sabotaging yourself.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's working against your aims and interests. So I have some shadow work prompts. And shadow work is really just, again, Carl Jung's way of saying making the unconscious conscious, right? So shedding light on what may be going on behind the scenes. So if at home you've identified something that you want to go for, and you feel like for whatever reason there's definitely a part of myself that feels like it's working against, I want you to write these questions down, and after the show, sit for a little while and actually answer these questions so that you can shed light. Because the first order of business is to create consciousness about it. To remember, first of all, that this is actually self-love that's emanating from the inside of you, even though it feels like it's self-sabotage, right? So what you want to do, and a lot of times what you're dealing with is your inner parent, which is like on the conscious level, speaking to your inner child. So the inner child does not care about what it looks like to the outside, doesn't care about accomplishments and success. The inner child wants to feel safe and comfortable and like he or she is enjoying himself, right, or herself. And so if your aims are squashing the inner child's ability to feel good, no one can long-term create a life where they don't have some sense of comfort and safety. We need that in order to really thrive and potentialize. So it's important that, first of all, you look and see, okay, like what's going on here? And one way to do that is to actually do stream of conscious writing, where you basically take on the identity of that part. So let's just say that I want to have a great relationship, and for whatever reason, I keep having the same types of people come into my life and the same dynamics play out, and then the relationship ends. There's a part of me that may be at war with my aim to have that relationship, and I would call that part forward and say, okay, what do you want me to know? Like, what's going on here, right? And then I would write from the first person. So, well, I blah, blah, blah. And you're just going to take on that embodiment, right, so you understand. No judging it, compassionate awareness, okay? Here's some questions that you can ask yourself, too. which wants are authentic desires? Which of your wants in life are authentic desires? In other words, they're coming from your heart, they're expansive, and which ones are creating a sense of contraction, lack of energy, a lack of focus, the inability to concentrate? That's usually a sign that you've got that inner child like, I don't want to do this.
Poison.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then what about this? What about this aim? Do I not want? So it's important to recognize for everything that you want, there is, I'm going to clean this up, what Elizabeth Gilbert calls the poop sandwich. If you're willing to eat the poop sandwich, it's meant for you. And if you're not, then you're not. But a lot of times what people do is they look at the vision of what I want. I want to be like rich and famous, right? They don't look at the poop sandwich side of it. Right. Well, this is what I would be doing on a regular basis. And what do I actually hate about this? Actually journal out. What would I hate about the lifestyle? It's important for you to understand that because you got aspects running in the side of this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Guys, if we go rich and famous, we're not going to have any privacy. We're not going to have any time. A lot of energy is going to be spent doing this thing. Do we really want, I mean, we're so comfortable right now, right? And then that part of you will be aiming in a completely different direction. The next one, get clear on what you're getting out of not making the change. That's a very important part because, and that'll be through the journaling process, because then what you're going to do is have a meeting of the minds. You're going to collaborate with that part of yourself and go, okay, well, what if I could promise you that the relationship that we get into will have nothing to do with the impression of relationship that we had when we were a kid? Maybe this person grew up in an unsafe home. And so they're afraid that by being in relationship, they will be unsafe, right? So they keep on sabotaging. What if our relationship looks like this? And so what you're trying to do is create a win-win, a resolution for both sides. You do not want to bulldoze your inner child. They will tantrum. There will be a lack of comfort and creativity and enjoyment when the inner child is not feeling good. So you're going to want to like create resolution. So what you want is all parts of yourself coordinated and harmonized going in the same direction is what you're doing. So, and then you just want to, your entire system also needs to adjust, even if you are moving toward a heart's desire, even if you are aiming towards something that is absolutely for you and expansive. There's a deconstruction process of what you're used to, and that can have the nervous system going like, what's happening? And so that resistance that you feel is really just your mind and your body going, wait, is it safe? And so just allowing yourself that slow process and really like having your nervous system, your brain, your body understand, yes, it's safe for us to go in this direction. So it's not always that you're aiming for something that's not yours. Sometimes you just need to give your body a time to catch up.
You know, I think back and often think of this. My parents were so supportive when we were young, and there was a stage when my dad cleverly, he watched me play sports, and he watched me. I would practice, and get determined. And then he knew exactly when to flip the switch. Even when I had my knee surgery my junior year in high school, he told the two doctors to tell me that I may never play again.
Really?
Now, that sounds cruel, but it's not.
Right.
He was motivating me to get in the rehab center, and he was self-motivating me. So as a parent, they knew the switches to push without breaking your confidence because they had already instilled the confidence in you.
Right,
You were independently confident.
He knew your personality.
He knew, yeah. So I'm saying parents need to be aware of that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the more the parents can demonstrate, like actually looking into the shadow work and actually admitting when there are parts of yourself that are moving in an opposite direction, the more you can help your children to grow with this education so that they don't have that uncoordinated walk psychologically.
There you go. Great show. Stopping self-sabotage. Stop it, people. Get on the train. Get on the good train. We'll see you again next week for another episode of Good Vibes.